Hi, friends. This is Miss Stapp, and I wanted to give you some information about what we did in class today. So, I had students share their summative Bs as a class, and then we broke out into rooms where they were able to share with each other. First, I took a few students and I modeled how we would discuss what they did as far as the presentation portion. And I used a rubric kind of like this, not to score because you're not getting a grade for the presentation portion of this summative, but in order to help people understand how to create really great voiceover in order to go along with that slideshow that you've created. So this is not, again, my rubric, but I do like some of the things that you're going to see in it. I'll probably use this to create my own rubric moving forward when you're graded on your presentations. But I like that it starts with this quality of information and organization. So again, you're being graded right over the information that you provided, whether you did or you didn't. And it's already set up for you in kind of an organized manner, B1 through B4, if you follow through. However, you may have seen those presentations where they weren't organized and the person didn't know what they were talking about on the slide and they had to flip forward a few slides and then come back. It wasn't arranged in a logical manner. So that definitely can happen. We don't want it to happen to you. Make sure that the information that you've put into that slideshow has a logical order from beginning to end. Oftentimes, a good way to start out on that first slide is to introduce what you will be going through and what the order is. Sometimes people even like a follow up slide that has kind of like chapters of a book, but tells again with some headers what is going to happen throughout this presentation. Nonverbal communication is not really important here unless you're doing a video presentation like I am, where it's important to sometimes look at the camera and make sure that your gestures don't interfere with understanding and that a person looks very professional. So, probably hair is combed and they're wearing something that is reasonable for a video, a professional video like this. One thing that is important in the summative that we just did is the quality of verbal communication. So, what I mean by that is think about the pacing of the narrator or the speaker. Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Was it just right? Often, a professional speaker or you, when you're doing a presentation, will stop to allow the audience to understand, and it makes a big impact if you stop, like what you just said was important. I heard myself just say too. So those ums come in as space fillers where when you don't really know what you're going to say next. So a great way, an effective way to get rid of those ums is to make a script or practice. Okay. Another thing about your vocal communication should be the tone. So I heard one student that it was a little bit like riding on a roller coaster today, and they talked up and they went down, 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 and then they talked up and then they went down, down, down. And they didn't realize that it was kind of a consistent wave like melody that they were talking in, and it was just because they were nervous. So once again, imagine that you're talking to a friend and your voice it goes up a little bit and it rises when it's exciting or really important. And then it comes down again when you come back to that regular information that doesn't need as much emphasis. So you can increase the tone, I'm sorry, make it a little higher, but those should be just reserved for those important things that you want to draw attention to. All right. Let's see what's next. The speaker should talk really clearly as possible. And I know a lot of you are in that time of life where you have a lot of orthodontia going on. So you just enunciate and try to make your friends understand. And we know if you have if you have an accident or if you have some braces or something, we can still understand you. Also, make sure that your equipment is adequate so you can get a good sound quality. You might try something different. If what you recorded with doesn't sound very good, can you have access to another mic or something else? Maybe no mic sounds better. We've done some screen recording, and that sounded different than my Screencast-O-Matic. Just try a few things and maybe find out what works best, that what produces the greatest results. So let's see, what else? Yep, try not to be monotone. Again, those highs and lows add interest. And you do need to overdo it a little bit when you're creating presentations via Zoom or these voiceovers because it's different than being in person. Okay, so it's a little bit of acting. There's a fine line between a little bit of acting and too much. Again, like we talked about, that riding the roller coaster when it went up and down. So it takes a little practice. You might have to watch yourself and listen to yourself in order to get better at it. The last thing I wanted to talk about right here is using images. Sorry, I know I keep saying using images to increase engagement. So I had one student today, I thought this was outstanding. They had their specifications and they had based their specifications on some research they have done in the form of a survey. So they actually took images of the survey and placed them next to the specification, which increased interest and it looked great. We can learn a lot from peer review, and that's what we did today. And I'm sorry potentially that you missed that peer review. Now you're going to have to do a little research on your own in order to write about 100 words on how to excuse me, on how to do a really spectacular presentation. And you can use what I talked about. You can use this rubric here to talk about tips for creating great presentations. You can also go to the internet. So this will be a little work on your own, and that's your work for the day. If you missed class, 100 words about great presentations. Now, really, I'm talking about the oral portion of it, but if you want to talk about stage presence and that visual presentation as well, you may. So go ahead and write that, email it to me. And my email address is abby.stapp@imagineschools.org and send that to me right away so you can get credit for attendance for the day. I hope you learned something and I look forward to seeing you soon.